Most people think they understand Nicolás Maduro. To the world, he is simply the long-standing president of Venezuela, a man of speeches, sanctions, and global controversy. But that surface version tells only half the story. Behind the podium is a lifestyle that raises eyebrows, invites speculation, and fuels one persistent question: how does a self-declared champion of the working class live so well? Maduro's journey is not just political. It is personal, strategic, and filled with contradictions that make his life endlessly fascinating and deeply polarizing. His rise looks like discipline and destiny. His lifestyle, however, tells a far more complicated story, from working-class streets to political instincts. Nicolás Maduro was born on November 23, 1962 in Caracas, Venezuela. He grew up in a working-class neighborhood where life was not shaped by luxury, but by routine, struggle, and proximity. In communities like his, politics wasn't something you debated over coffee, it was something you felt in food prices, public transport, and job security. His father, Nicolás Maduro Garca, was a trade union leader deeply involved in left-wing politics. Conversations at home revolved around labor rights, power structures, and who benefits when governments make decisions. Maduro didn't inherit money. He inherited political awareness. That awareness deepened after tragedy struck. His father died in a car accident when Maduro was still young, pushing him further into the ideological world his father had occupied. Being the only son among several siblings also shaped him early. Responsibility arrived fast, and comfort rarely did. An education that didn't follow the script. Maduro attended Jos Valos High School in Caracas, where he became involved in student activism. Politics grabbed his attention long before textbooks did. Eventually, he dropped out. No university degree, no formal academic credentials, no elite institutions on his resume. By conventional standards, this should have been the end of the road. In most countries, the lack of formal education closes doors. In Maduro's case, it simply redirected him toward different hallways, the kind where power moves quietly. Learning power from the inside. Before holding office, Maduro worked as a bodyguard for a left-wing politician. It was not a glamorous job, but it was a strategic one. Standing close to influence teaches you things no classroom can: who really makes decisions, how loyalty is rewarded, and when to stay silent. In the early 1990s, Maduro joined the political movement surrounding Hugo Chavez. He wasn't the loudest voice or the most charismatic figure, he was the listener, the observer, the man who stayed close. When Chavez won the presidency in 1998, Maduro was ready. He entered Congress, helped rewrite Venezuela's constitution in 1999, and climbed steadily upward. By 2005, he was president of the National Assembly. In 2006, Fez appointed him foreign minister, placing him on the world stage. No degree, no diplomatic pedigree. Yet he moved comfortably among global leaders, proof that confidence, when paired with proximity to power, can substitute for credentials. The moment destiny knocked. In 2012, Hugo Chavez made a decision that would quietly reshape Venezuela's future. He appointed Nicolás Maduro as vice president, a choice that puzzled allies and unsettled critics. Maduro lacked formal education, military credentials, and the revolutionary charisma Chavez was famous for. Yet, he had something else: proximity, loyalty, and timing. When Chavez's health rapidly declined and he passed away in 2013, Maduro was already standing in the doorway of power. The transition felt almost procedural. Maduro became acting president, then secured victory in the subsequent election. A man who once dropped out of school now occupied the highest office in the country. International media closely tracked the political mechanics of this succession, debating legitimacy, legality, and electoral fairness. What received far less attention at the time was what came next: the quiet reshaping of Maduro's personal world. The relationships he solidified, the environments he began living in, and the lifestyle choices he adopted would later become just as controversial as his politics. a family that operates like an inner circle. Maduro's private life does not exist outside his political reality. It reinforces it. His wife, Cilia Flores, is not a ceremonial partner. She is a seasoned lawyer, an experienced politician, and a deeply embedded figure within Venezuela's power structure. Older than Maduro and politically active long before he reached the presidency, Flores brought institutional memory, legal understanding, and elite connections into the relationship. When they officially married in 2013, only months after Maduro assumed the presidency, observers took note. The timing felt deliberate, almost symbolic. To many analysts, the partnership appeared less like a romantic milestone and more like the formal consolidation of a political alliance. Together, they blended families from previous marriages, raising children within an environment defined by security, influence, and proximity to state power. This was not a household insulated from politics, it was immersed in it. In Maduro's world, family is not merely emotional support, it is continuity, loyalty, and structure. Power, once acquired, is not left unguarded at home. The quiet face of luxury. Official financial disclosures place Maduro's personal net worth in the low millions, a figure that appears modest for a head of state. But wealth is rarely best measured by spreadsheets alone. Lifestyle tells a different story. Maduro's approach to luxury is not flamboyant. It does not rely on constant display or public spectacle. Instead, it operates quietly, embedded within security, privacy, and distance. Investigative journalists have linked him to multiple high-security residences, particularly within heavily guarded areas of Caracas. These are not conventional homes. They exist within restricted zones protected by military oversight, layered security systems, and controlled access points. Such infrastructure carries immense cost even before accounting for maintenance or staffing. Beyond Venezuela, there have also been persistent, though disputed, reports of overseas properties, including alleged luxury residences in the Caribbean. While these claims remain controversial and unproven in court, they continue to circulate precisely because of the contrast they represent. In a country where many struggle with shortages and instability, even the suggestion of offshore luxury becomes politically explosive. Cars, jets, and distance. How a leader moves often reveals how he governs. Maduro does not travel like an ordinary politician. He has been associated with armored luxury SUVs, high-end executive sedans, and vehicles designed for both comfort and protection. These are not chosen for style alone, they are statements of insulation. When traveling internationally, Maduro reportedly relies on long-range executive jets capable of crossing continents without interruption. These aircraft prioritize quiet cabins, privacy, and control over speed or spectacle. Flying this way reshapes perspective. Borders blur. Time compresses. Physical distance from everyday life increases. And as mobility becomes effortless, accountability can feel increasingly abstract. Movement, in this context, is not just transportation, it is separation. The stake that went viral. In 2018, one moment cut through years of political speeches. Maduro and his wife were filmed dining at an upscale restaurant in Istanbul, enjoying an extravagant steak prepared by celebrity chef Salt Bae. The video spread instantly across social media. Its impact had little to do with cuisine and everything to do with timing. Venezuela was facing severe economic hardship, hyperinflation, food shortages, and a mass migration crisis. The image of luxury dining framed by gold leaf theatrics and exclusivity struck a nerve. The symbolism was impossible to ignore. One short clip did what years of political opposition could not. It crystallized criticism into a single visual. For many viewers, it felt like a disconnect made visible, a reminder that rhetoric and reality were no longer aligned. Watches, image, and quiet statements. Maduro has been photographed wearing luxury watches reportedly valued in the tens of thousands of dollars. In isolation, a watch is just an accessory. In politics, it is a signal. Timepieces have long served as quiet indicators of status, access, and taste. They do not shout wealth, they imply it. For leaders who claim solidarity with the poor, such details carry disproportionate weight. A watch cannot feed a nation, it cannot stabilize an economy, but it can remind people who lives with comfort and who does not. In an environment shaped by inequality, even silence makes a statement. Nicolás Maduro's story isn't just about politics. It's about power, distance, and the quiet gap between what leaders say and how they live. Whether you see him as a survivor of the system or a master of it depends on where you stand, but the questions around his lifestyle aren't going away anytime soon. If you want more deep dives like this into the lives behind global power, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.